Welcome back, grade 11s and grade 12s. We're looking at our environments and we're looking at the tools in our microenvironment. The tools, of course, is also going to be related to your organizational performance chapter. So this is going to cover both. Right, so let's have a look here. What have we done? We've looked at an environmental scan. We know why we do environmental scanning. It's to ensure that we can bring about new ideas and have new strategies. We've looked at our environmental scanning, external, market, and macro. We've done all of those tools. We've looked at micro. What have we done in micro so far? In the previous chapters, we have done our value chain analysis, our resource-based analysis. So today, part of organizational performance and part of the tools that you would use in your micro environment is the pros and cons tool. Now, companies would look at doing this to say, do we bring in our fashion truck for Mr. Price? What are the pros in bringing that? Well, it's going to bring in a new market. We're going to have, we could possibly even include redundant stock in that so that there's a reduced pricing, that we don't write off any clothing. There's no write-offs. You could then list a whole lot of pros. You would then list cons. Theft, sizing, are people going to be buying trends that are not really trendy anymore? You're going to have a look at both those pros and cons. When you do a pros and cons chart, it must be measurable. So when you write down your pros and your cons, put a measure in place so that at the end of the day, everything is measurable. So you would then rate it out of 5, 5 being yes, let's go ahead with this, or it's the worst kind of con, it's a very high rated con or a high rated pro. So do a rating scale from 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, and then you can have a look at right at the end of the day, you would add up all your rating and then make a measured decision based on whatever idea you've come up with. A decision tree is used, and a lot of the times this is used in IT, but it's exactly that. Are we going to be using the fashion truck? Yes or no? If it says yes, then we need to actually buy a truck. We need to hire someone. We then need to train someone. What kind of stock are we going to have? If it's no, then it would already be then saying, we're not going to be doing this idea. So a decision tree is taking an idea and say yes, no, putting another idea, yes, no, another idea, yes, no. The Delphi technique, they love to ask this in a multiple choice. You've never had to do a Delphi technique for anything. Basically what it is, it's a survey-based framework where you're going to bring in experts. So you determine the problem you want to solve, identify and engage your experts. So you're going to then say, right, a fashion truck, let's go talk to a food truck expert. Let's go talk to someone who's got a food truck. And what are the constraints to having this? You're going to select a facilitator to manage the process. You start the process. You're going to create a summary report, ask more questions, summarize the results. So the whole time it will go down to an expert. A Delphi technique is involving an expert in making your decision. Then we're going to look at the balanced scorecard. And I always say the balanced scorecard is FICL. FICL. L being learning and growth, okay? So we are now going to understand the F, the FICL side of it, the F, the financial element of the business. Remember, all these tools about how do we add value, how do we be more for our consumer. So financial aspect of the business, you're going to make sure, do we have a return on our investment? What is our cash flow? What are the financial results? So that is the financial elements. Now ask your question, how do we add value to our financial aspect? How do we have more return on investment? How do we increase our cash flow? So you could possibly look at ratios, your current capital ratio, and you would then say to ensure that we are according to industry norm of a 2-to-1 ratio. You could bring in budgets. You could then say we're going to be bringing in an accounting system. That's how you could add value. Let's look at the internal processes, the I, and that is anything internally. So how are we getting our product to the stores? Look at our distribution center. Is there anything there that we could do better? And again, you would then say, how do we add value to our internal process? So you could possibly automate your receiving of stock. You could maybe ensure that internally, that when you get all the stock, that you've got runners that will then put boxes in the certain areas, because normally Mr. Price can be quite hectic and quite jumble mumble. We need to improve on that internal process, so maybe the staff need to come in earlier on that day and then unpack all the stock, so that you don't have boxes still coming in while people are still shopping. So you're going to look at your internal processes for Mr. Price and say, how are we going to make it better? Maybe our point of sale system where they scan things needs to be improved. Maybe it needs to be quicker. Maybe the security checkout needs to be better utilized. There might need to be extra security coming in, or whatever the case is. What are the internal processes that you can put in place to add value? Now we look at our customers. Now you've got to ask yourself, how do we improve our customer satisfaction? What could we do to make sure that we have loyalty with our customers? So again, you're asking yourself, how do we add value to the customer side of the Balanced Scorecard? What we could do is we could increase our social media. We could run competitions. We could have a loyalty card where if you shop at certain days, if you shop at certain times, you can get discounts, or you could have extra products. You could build points that you could then eventually get an accessory, or whatever the case is. So we're going to ask ourselves, how can we be better with our customers? And the last element is the learning, education, and growth, the L of the FICL. And that is, how do we add value to our current learning, education, and growth? How do we improve our employee turnover? How do we improve job satisfaction? So how do we go about doing that? Well, maybe we can send our staff on training. Maybe we offer bursaries for staff's children. Maybe what we do is we try and upskill our staff by offering them customer service. Maybe we even offer them a coaching opportunity where they get coached into how to being better human beings, so that could then lead into them being happy at work. We could possibly do wellness days. Maybe we even try and offer them medical aid benefits. Whatever the case is, let's try and ensure that we've got education, learning, and growth for our staff. Okay, so that is FICL: financial, internal, customer, and learning. FICL. Balanced scorecard is an important one. You must know how to do a balanced scorecard. Right. I will see you in the next episode. Wishing you all the very best. Please share this with your friends. Please subscribe. Please like. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.